Guide to Buying a Co-op in New York City. Buying a co-op in New York City can be a daunting process. Co-ops are notorious for their grueling board application process and stricter rules compared to condos. The main benefit of co-ops is that they're usually 10 to 40% less expensive than condos in New York City. So, what are the first steps to buying a co-op in New York City? The first thing you should do before you begin your apartment search is to do thorough research on everything related to buying a co-op in New York City. Here are some topics which you should familiarize yourself with. Buyer closing costs. Do you have enough liquid assets to cover closing costs and satisfy a co-op's post-closing liquidity requirement? Most co-ops also have a debt-to-income guideline for applicants. Co-ops also typically have a minimum down payment requirement of at least 20%. Board application process. The co-op board application process is time-consuming and somewhat invasive. Are you comfortable with the length of the application process? More importantly, are you prepared to provide sensitive financial documentation to the co-op board? Sublet policy and flip tax. Co-ops in New York City typically have restrictions on subletting. Many co-ops also charge sellers an extra closing cost called a flip tax. These policies vary by building. Buyer's agents. Have you researched the role of buyer's agents? Are you aware that you can save money on your purchase by requesting a buyer agent commission rebate through Hauseit? Working with an experienced buyer's agent can increase your chances of a successful deal. Better yet, you can save thousands on your purchase by requesting a legal and tax-free buyer broker commission rebate. To request a rebate, head over to www.hauseit.com. So, what happens when you find an apartment and want to make an offer? You'll typically be asked to provide the following items when submitting an offer to a co-op in New York City. Offer price, percentage down, and targeted closing date. Any contingencies, such as a mortgage or Hubbard contingency. Completed REBNY financial statement. Pre-approval letter, if you're financing. Attorney contact information. Once you've agreed to a deal with the seller, your attorney will begin due diligence and start negotiating the contract with the seller's attorney. It typically takes 1 to 2 weeks to have a signed contract from the time your offer has been accepted. What happens once you're in contract to buy a co-op in New York City? Having a signed contract means that you can begin work on the co-op board application. It typically takes 2 to 4 weeks for you to complete and submit the purchase application. Once you submit your application, it can take 4 to 6 weeks to hear back from the co-op board and receive a request for an interview. If you pass your interview, the closing date is typically scheduled within a week or two of receiving board approval. New York City's co-op real estate market is complex, and we've barely scratched the surface on the topics you should familiarize yourself with. For more New York City real estate insider tips and tricks, subscribe to our channel and visit our blog and forum at www.hauseit.com.